Of everything that's happened in the Tea Party movement, the two greatest examples, actually right here in Florida. Your impact was felt so thoroughly that our governor at the time couldn't even get through the primary. Instead, this guy who had support at the grassroots level, served in leadership in the State House, but otherwise was a relative unknown, ended up becoming someone who, as we know, is in every conversation as the leading candidate for vice president. That would be Marco Rubio. By the way, if it's not Marco, just might be our next speaker. Although I tend to think of him as Secretary of Defense before President of the United States. I haven't asked him if that's okay, I just say stuff like this. Anytime I introduce this man, I always feel like I do an injustice because I guess at his core, what I can say most about him is I love this man. He's genuinely trying to do the right thing each and every day. And there aren't many people that do that. There aren't many politicians that are so honest. They aren't afraid of the truth. You want to talk about courage. You want to talk about leadership. No holds barred. Calls it like he sees it. I mean, everything he does every day. It's all those things. The passion plus talent plus unstoppable stuff that, I try to live by. This guy does it each and every day. And he's not afraid. Not ever. I think the greatest example of the work of all of you is that we have a congressman in our area that breaks all those stereotypes.
Yep.
Racist? Right? That's what, no. The background of this man from Atlanta, someone who was raised in a military setting with the importance of country first and foremost. He was someone who ended up wanting to honor his father by serving himself. He was so passionate and so successful in his service that he became a lieutenant colonel. He ended up leading even in areas and times when people thought that, there are these little rules you got to follow and everything else. He said, you know what, I put my men, those who serve with me, those who serve under me, above all else, above any bureaucracy, above any red tape. I'm going to stand by my men. And he stands by us as he represents all of us that same way. The bureaucracy, the red tape, all that garbage that goes on in Washington, D.C. He's going to do the right thing by you. Forget that. This is a man that I respect as much as I've ever respected anybody in Washington, D.C. You see someone who still comes to all these events, makes himself available, even though there are a lot of pretty awful people out there that say some pretty awful things and try to do some pretty awful things. This is a man that I dearly love, and I'm so thrilled to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Representative Alan West.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here. All right. Look here. This is a beautiful day. It was a great day to ride the motorcycle up, but it's a beautiful day to be here with hard-working American taxpayers who are patriots, who are passionate about their country, who are constitutional conservatives, and know right now we have to make a stand for the future and the legacy of this great nation. It's very important we come to a realization of something so simple. This really is the choice between two futures. What do you want to leave to your children and grandchildren? I can stand here today because of the sacrifices that my parents, born and raised down in South Georgia, some very hard times in the 20s and 30s, but they taught me that you're not a victim, you're a victor. They taught me to take advantage of all the great opportunities that you have here in the United States of America, and never let anyone tell you that you cannot reach whatever level of achievement that you determine within your heart that you can have. That's America. But we have to draw the contrast. Because there are some people here today, they don't understand that American dream. They don't understand what I call equality of opportunity. They believe in an equality of achievement. They believe in telling the individual American citizen just what you can do and how far you can go. They don't know about how you unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of the American citizen so that we can get these closed storefronts open, so that we can get people back working, as Dick Morris just talked about. It is not about economic dependency. It's about economic freedom. It's about allowing each and every American or anyone that comes to this country to do exactly what they have always done, live out the American dream. I know the other side of here taping me because the bottom line is this. If I were not effective, if I were not causing them concern, they wouldn't be here. It's all about fear. It's all about fear that comes from someone that breaks down every single one of their stereotypes. Because if I was still that inner city young black man in Atlanta, maybe still on drugs, with a bunch of children from different mothers, not out working, I would be their poster child. But because of the fact that I had a father who served in World War II, that I had a mother who gave 25 years civilian service to a Marine Corps headquarters in Atlanta, that I had an older brother that served in Vietnam, and that I now have a nephew who was just recently selected to be the aide-de-camp to a 3-star general over in Germany. That's not the story that they want to tell. But this is the story I'm here to tell you today. You know, I think some of them out there talked to the meeting and they said, Alan West is the craziest person that ever set foot on the House floor. Well, let me tell you who the craziest person that truly ever set foot on the House floor. That's President Barack Hussein Obama. And you can put it on tape because I'm going to break it down to you. Because if you think that $5 trillion more debt than from George Washington to Bill Clinton isn't insane, I don't know how to help you. $5 trillion in new debt in 3 months and 3 years. That is unconscionable. That is, as he said, speaking about previous President George W. Bush, that's unpatriotic. That is absolutely crazy. 4 straight years of trillion-dollar-plus deficits, 1.42 trillion, 1.29 trillion, 1.3 trillion, and an estimation for 1.33 trillion this year. That's crazy. A president who comes down here to South Florida really just to raise some money from those millionaires and billionaires that he says so bad, but he stands there at Florida Atlantic University and comes up with this insidious piece of tax policy called the Buffett Rule. When you break down the numbers on the Buffett Rule and you come to understand that you're only talking about $40 to $50 billion over the next 10 years with a president that wants to take our debt, which is at 15.6 trillion to 26 trillion, you're only talking about a 0.5% impact on the debt deficit. And when you challenge the president and his talking mouth there in the White House, they said, well, this Buffett Rule really was not about the debt and deficit. But that's what you told the American people it was about. See, what it really is about, ladies and gentlemen, hope and change is gone. Hope and change has been replaced by divide and rule. Because now we have to divide the American people along socioeconomic bounds. We have to divide the American people along racial bounds. We have to divide the American people along gender bounds. Because he is an abject failure in everything that he has done. If the president was, as the other side says, the most brilliant man the world has ever known, then he could have very simply gone back and done a little research like I did about capital gains taxes. how back in the early 1970s, we started to take capital gains taxes down from 28% to where they are now, 15%. And you've seen revenues increase. You've seen investment grow in the United States of America. It's a historical fact. If you raise capital gains taxes, production, manufacturing, investment in the United States of America goes away. If he wants to take capital gains taxes from 15% to 30%, he's going to destroy the free market and the private sector in the United States of America. And so my message, very simply, as I look into this camera, and please send this message to President Obama. This week, Mr. President, I will be voting no on the buffer. Just capital gains taxes. It's a president that does not understand that here in South Florida, many of our seniors live off of dividends. And he wants to take dividends taxes from 15% up to a top rate of 43.4%. It is not about a president that obviously, when he's hanging out with his millionaire and billionaire friends, perhaps he should go out in west part of Palm Beach County, or Martin County, or up in St. Lucie County, and talk to the farmers, talk to the ranchers, and ask them, what does taking death taxes from 35% to 55% do to them? What does taking the bottom level from $5 million down to $1 million do to them? It destroys the ability to pass on to subsequent generations that simple thing that so many Americans have done, created something, a farm, a business, or what have you. It is not about him understanding the empowerment of the individual. It's about him desiring to enslave the individual. It is just the same. If you read, this is your homework for this week. I'll be checking on you to see if you get it. There's a simple little essay written by a French economist by the name of Frederick Bastiat. And you know, my little liberal chucklehead friends over here, they don't read that stuff. But Frederick Bastiat wrote a pamphlet, an essay, 55 pages. So, you know, for a guy from Georgia, University of Tennessee graduate, it's just the right length. It's called The Law. And it talks about what the roles and the responsibilities truly are for government. And what is happening in America is exactly what Bastiat wrote about in the 1800s. It is legal plunder. It is legal plunder that is based upon misplaced benevolence and philanthropy coming from a government that does not understand one simple thing. The more that you give out, the more you will make people dependent. It's just the same as Alexis de Tocqueville talked about. The American public will collapse once Congress realizes that they can bribe the public by using the public's treasury. That's all that is happening. He will give free health care. He will give free education. There are plenty of people out there with free Obama phones right now. Last Thursday, one of the most incredible things that happened, a drug dealer in Boston, Massachusetts that was arrested tried to use his electronic benefits transfer card, that little government debit card that comes from the SNAP program, to file his bail. This is what is happening in America. This is what we cannot allow to happen in America. We have a president that does not understand small businesses. You have a president that does not understand small businesses, and they operate as Subchapter S, LLC corporations. They use their personal income tax rate. So when you continue to talk about raising taxes on people who are out there trying to do the one simple thing, open those closed storefronts. Come up with a new idea. Come up with a new business. Hire these people here all across our great country, especially in a state like Florida, where we still have an unemployment that is higher than the national average. But I will tell you, as Dick Morris talked about, our national average is not 8.2%. We've got some 13 million Americans that are out of work. We've got some 8 to 9 million Americans that are underemployed on part-time. We've got 1 to 1.2 million Americans that no one is even counting. Amen. That's the sad thing, that Americans don't matter, that we just drop them off of the rolls so that we can manipulate numbers to make it seem as though we're doing something productive. That's not how this country should be. And if I'm crazy for standing up against that, well then doggone it, I will continue to be as crazy as I can be. A week ago, on Monday, the president circumvented the appropriations process of the United States Congress, and really he doesn't too much understand the Constitution with these co-equal branches of government and separation of powers. And, you know, as a matter of fact, I tried to send an email to him to try to explain this whole thing about judicial review. Marbury versus Madison, established in 1803, been around for 209 years. Some almost 150 cases have been seen. But the president took $500 million of American taxpayer money and he sent it over to the IRS to hire 4,000 new IRS agents as part of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. A Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act that we know as Obamacare, that you were told was only going to cost $940 billion. And now we find out the price tag is $1.76 trillion.
Liar.
You lied again.
That's kind of crazy if you ask me.
Yep.
But it's even worse. No one's talking about the 11 new taxes that are part of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Are we really talking about reforming and repairing the healthcare system, or is this just another tax bill? Because it's nothing but 12,000 more IRS agents, 11 new taxes, 3.8% real estate transaction tax. You have a 3.8% capital gains tax that's hidden in there. You know something that I know a lot of folks down here in South Florida like to do? They even got a tanning tax. Now you want to talk about something that's racist? Come on. Alan West ain't going in the tanning booth. Come on, white people. You should get mad. I tell you what, y'all seen Speaker Boehner? He ain't happy about that tanning tax. But ladies and gentlemen, this is how insidious it is. And this is what I have to ask my friends from the other side. What is your vision for the future of this country? What is it that you want to hand off to our children and grandchildren? Do you want to hand off a diminished country? Do you want to hand off a country that goes from 16 trillion in debt to 26 trillion in debt? Do you want to hand off a country whose debt to GDP ratio right now will never be below 100%? Do you want to hand off an America that has a diminished global impact and influence? Do you want to hand off an America that will be a shadow of itself? I guess when we heard about fundamentally transforming the United States of America, now we know what that means. My challenge to you is very simple. You choose what future you want for this great nation. I know what future I want. I want the exact same future that my parents accepted on 7 February 1961 when I was born. A future that meant we would not succumb to a bureaucratic nanny state, because, as Thomas Jefferson said, a government that is big enough to give you everything that you want is also big enough to take it away. But that's what the president wants. He wants to take more of your money so that he can grow this federal government by 53% over the next 10 years. And don't tell me I'm crazy, because I read his budget, his fiscal year 2013 budget, which, tell me why it failed 0 to 414 in the House. Tell me why his fiscal year 12 budget failed 0 to 97 in the Senate. Because it is not a blueprint for success for the United States of America. As you leave here today and you get ready to turn in your taxes, understand that next January, if we continue down this path, the largest tax increase that the United States of America has ever seen will begin in January of 2013, unless you make the decision and understand what is the future you want to see. As you sit here today, do you want to be that first generation of Americans that will leave less to subsequent generations? I have to tell you very simply, it's a moral decision. If you can look at your children, if you can look at your grandchildren and bend them over the barrel and say, I'm not working so that you can have a bright future, then you will have just snapped the DNA of the American patriot. You will have just said that we will not pass on the genome of liberty, freedom, and democracy to the next generation. You will have just said that it's okay that America ends up going down the path of Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, or Spain with an economic collapse that looms before us. But I want to believe that even those people that are here that think they could, you know, these guys got to be serious. They can't intimidate me. Come on. Even those people that are here that believe something different, I want to believe that between now and November the 6th, that they will look at themselves in the mirror and they'll say, I was wrong. I don't need an apology. I don't need you to come begging. And I don't hate you. I absolutely feel sorry for you. I feel sorry because for whatever reason, your parents did not instill in you the values and principles that make this nation great, that make this nation acceptable. So whatever reason, your friends that you hang out with don't get you to challenge and understand the greatness of this country, that don't get you to understand that when those stars and stripes fly, they fly because men and women all over this great globe are standing as watchmen on the walls for each and every one of you.
Amen.
I think Winston Churchill said it very succinctly. He said, Americans will eventually do what is right after they have tried everything else. We tried the Hopi changing. It is not in concert with our constitutional conservative principles and values. But each and every one of us must understand that it is about limited government that is effective, efficient, and fiscally responsible. It is about individual sovereignty. It is about our free market. It's about our traditional cultural values, and it's about a very strong national defense. And anyone that believes in things other than that, they have failed to understand the essence of what it means to live in the greatest nation that the world has ever known and have the greatest title that the world has ever known, an American. May God bless you all. May God keep these great united.